I think if you have a vision and a concept that you yourself believe in, that is enough of a thing to run with. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing.
This is The Crackling. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Well, I've been looking forward to today and I'm pretty excited, and walking into this space justified that as well. It's such a beautiful restaurant. Annita Potter, we're in Viand. How are you?
I'm very well. It took you some time getting here.
Yeah, it did. It's an amazing space. It's like has its own identity. It doesn't just look like a cookie cutter restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, you step behind those red curtains. Tell us about this space and what you did here.
It was once. Well, it's been a restaurant for probably the whole existence of the building. 1930s, I think it was first built. Italian restaurant for 20 years, and then there was another Italian restaurant for another 20 years, and then we are 3 years old as of today, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
It's our birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. But so when I first took this space over, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but finding a space that would lend and bend to my concept that was somewhat out there, as you can see.
Yeah.
Was a bit of a struggle, but then it worked, and I was able to produce this. And the idea was for everyone to sit within the kitchen and experience the whole sensory experience, smells, the tastes, all of that kind of stuff, the music that's playing, the banging of the woks, pounding of a mortar and pestle. I wanted people to be a part of that, rather than kitchens that are hidden out the back. And you're not a part of any of it. So.
Well, it's not often that you see the kitchen as soon as you walk in. It's almost like you're stepping into someone's kitchen, and there's people eating around it. Like it's such a great concept and beautifully executed. What you said, 3 years now. Yeah. What has that time been like for you back in Sydney and doing this?
Well, we opened in COVID. I think it was a little over a year to put this place together, and through lockdowns and all that kind of stuff, it was not easy by any means, and we hadn't even opened the doors. And then we did open the doors, and it was incredible. And the feedback from people, from press, from Good Food gave me awards, which were just extraordinary. And then, to so many returning guests who tell me that it feels like they come and dine in my house. Yeah. And they're eating in my kitchen and stuff like that, which is really, that in itself is a reward, to have that kind of sense when people, they go out for a meal and they have that wonderful comfort of food and a restaurant space.
Restaurants often take a bit of time to grow into their bones. Is the vision that you had in your head before this all started to what it is here now, is it the same thing, or has it changed?
I think it was the same thing. It was
That's amazing.
Abe Rogers, who was my architect for the whole building, extraordinary architect, based in London, and he did the whole project. We did the whole project via Zoom. He's never stepped foot in the restaurant. And so we had a great working relationship and became quite close, and just trying to explain the concept to someone who, and my concepts are a bit out there. And then he put this, he gave me a visual of what the space would look like, and it is verbatim. It was kind of, and I said to him, I have that feeling of, Alice in Wonderland, falling through that rabbit hole, and it being exactly the same from even the mosaic tiles and stuff like that. I've forgotten the question. I ramble.
Well, I think you nailed the question, because it asked about the original concept and what we have now, and which is exactly as it was. Tell us about your food and what you're doing here.
So I cook. So I'm cooking Thai food here. A different level of Thai food that I think most people in Sydney are used to. It's not your green curries, it's not your pad thais, it's more elevated. And from all the years that I worked with David and my learnings from him, and over the years of cooking in his various places and then going on to opening, his places, it's Thai food that most people don't know. And there are so many cultures and so many cuisines that people have an idea of what they think it is, but there is a raft of other things that truly encompass the cuisine. And I just wanted to showcase that point of view, and also coming into Sydney, which is littered with Thai restaurants, great Thai restaurants, but they're all serving what people expect: pad thais, pat kapows, papaya salads, chicken grilled, all that kind of stuff. I just wanted, and I love those things, but I just wanted to show other things.
Yeah.
And a point of difference.
You had a career in chefing prior to diving into the world of Thai food.
Yeah.
Tell us about that transition, and what was it about Thai food and the ingredients and the cooking that sort of changed everything for you?
Taught in classical French and European food back in the day when apprenticeships were lasting over 4 years and were somewhat grueling. I didn't, and also coming from Perth didn't have very many Asian restaurants, particularly Thai. There was hardly any Thai restaurants that I remember. There was a couple of shitty Chinese restaurants, sweet and sour pork, those kinds of things, but it certainly wasn't the landscape that Sydney had or Melbourne had in terms of diversity from an Asian perspective. And I mean, I moved to Paris. I was living overseas and eating different things. And I remember, Paris has got an enormous Chinese quarter, and they have like a raft of different cultures and foods over there. And I started, as one does, you just eat, and you eat your way through cities. And I was not to say that it was France or Paris that made me pick Thai food. It was just something other than Western food or European food. And so it started to tweak my interests. And as much as I love Western food and European food, and my background is of that, I need to be constantly challenged, and my brain does, and I need more. And so European food and Western food, kind of from a professional point of view, became a little bit kind of, I don't know, just it was flat.
Yeah. And
it was one-dimensional, I suppose, is in comparison to Asian cuisine and Thai food and stuff like that. There are so many ingredients just in a paste that then goes into another handful of ingredients that goes to marinate it, and then you've got to cook, if you're doing a curry, you've got to cook that out with another, and it's constantly keeping my brain alive. And then it's served with a whole raft of different vegetables and and it just took over more than Western food did. You know what I mean? It's like you have tomatoes and pasta, some basil, some garlic, olive oil, and that's it.
Yeah.
In its comparison. And I mean, I'm generalising a lot. But,
of course, yeah.
You
mentioned David Thompson, who you spent a lot of time with. What did you take from your time with David? Do you have any stories of working with him?
Too many. And I don't know if this is the forum for half of those stories. He was really hard to work for. I love him to bits. I was talking to him only last night. Okay, a good story, I suppose. I mean, there's lots, but I think it was. I don't know. I'd been working for him for so many years, and through Nam in London, and then Bangkok, and then opening Singapore, and he threw me to so many crazy projects. There was an orphanage in Cambodia that I got stranded to. I was shanghaied on a boat in the middle of the Mekong for months. These are all good stories, by the way. But then, and then opened Singapore, and I was in Singapore for a couple of years, and then he asked if I wanted to open Sydney. And at that point, I hadn't been back to Australia for probably the better part of 10 years,
right,
or maybe 8, and it was really weird. And he too hadn't been back, particularly in a professional sense. So I knew that there was a lot riding on this. And so we opened and kind of got through all of that. And I remember going out for dinner really late one night, and he turned around and he was like, "Your cooking is amazing." And there was a moment of, really? Really? Did that actually come out of your mouth? No, it was a really kind of interesting moment.
Yeah.
Where, the guy that, the mentor, actually, and he doesn't give compliments very much.
Pork weaves its way through a lot of Thai cuisine in different ways. How does it sort of meander through your cooking and your menu? Tasting menus is what we offer at Viand. And I want to take people on a journey, and it's not particularly about the heat and the spice in the Thai dishes that I do. It's more about kind of building that and taking someone from the early things, through. I have to be quite conscious about the things that I'm using, and also proteins. Yeah.
And I don't like to repeat myself, particularly on a menu. So it's kind of showcasing all of the ingredients, particularly pork, as a hero in its dish.
Yep.
There are menus that I don't have pork on.
Sure.
There are menus that I kind of want to slip it in, whether or not it's the crispy skin at the beginning and then using the pork belly at the end, or some pork fat into this one, and it is really a versatile protein and animal that you can use in a whole raft of things. Pork stock gives really, really great depth to curries or even soup bases and things like that. You can ferment it with glutinous rice, which just turns into the most incredible, those sausages, the saigrop.
Yeah.
And then you can use that into a lon, which is simmered with coconut, and it again just transforms things. So it's about trying to find the most interesting dish that people may not have seen, and then showcasing the pork as a hero, I suppose.
Is there a cut that you like to cook, and a best way that you like to cook it that you can tell us about?
Belly is always delicious, but everyone says belly. I don't know. Shoulder or neck. Probably neck is my most favourite. It's a cut that I think is underutilised. It's got great fat content in it. But you can use, I think no, I'm just going to say neck, because you can slow braise it, you can quickly stir fry it, you can mince it, and it will lend and bend to whatever you need it to be. So if you want to cook it for a long time in a curry, there's a beautiful curry from the north of Thailand, Hung Lei, and you marinate the pork, but it's a pork curry that you can basically use all of the bits. So you use the pork, neck, you use the belly, you use, you can put the legs in there, you can put, ears in there for texture, skin goes in, all sorts of stuff. And they all react differently. So, I think, again, I've gone on a different tangent. I forgot the question.
No, you're right on. You're right on. Tell us a bit about the dish that you're going to cook.
So this is also from the north. This is Chiang Mai relish of pork. And I had some belly left over, which I actually, for this, you can use neck, but I'm going to use belly because I want the fat content from it. And I've got it on with the skin. So I'm going to take the skin off, but keeping as much fat on the pork belly as I can. I will hand mince it, which I love to do, rather than just getting a butcher to give me minced meat. It means that I'm in control of the coarseness or the fineness of the mince. For this one, I prefer to keep it quite coarse, and then marinate it with tomatoes, soybean discs, which are kind of fermented soybeans, but this doesn't have any shrimp paste or shrimp paste in it, so it gives depth with the soybean paste, which I then grill and pound down, and then it's eaten with rice or noodles, rice noodles, kanom jin, or whole range of vegetables, and then also the crispy skin, which I've done beforehand, as a kind of, it's a dippy thing. It's really delicious.
Tell me about the creative process. You talked about elevated. Where does the idea come from? Because the menu's changing all the time, as you said, as well. And that creative process to create a dish, where do you start, and how does it work for you?
I think I always start with my curry, and then kind of, looking at the menu as a whole and going, okay, well, that curry, it sits on the saltier and spicier side, so I need to have something to bracket that with some sweetness and some sourness, so that as I take you on that journey, you, and as Thais do, and as I encourage people to do here, you eat it together. So you have a mouthful of curry, and then you have a mouthful of the salad, or the relish that I, serve alongside with it, and try and explain to people the best way to eat it. So if you're eating a relish not dissimilar to this one, I always serve it with seasonal greens and fruits and vegetables. And so when you take a portion of the relish or the lon or whatever you're doing, and if you eat it with starfruit, and then you have a mouthful of rice, and then you have a mouthful of your coconut soup, and then you have the relish again with green mango or starfruit, it then changes.
Yeah.
And so it's about finding the balance of a menu.
Viand is a great example of sort of executing one's vision and creating their own space. What advice would you have for someone that might be ready to create their own thing like you have, given what you've gone through in the last 3 years? What advice would you have for them to get the best outcome?
Don't do it. That's awful. That's awful. No. I think if you have a vision and a concept that you yourself believe in, I think that is enough of a thing to run with. And I think it's about determination, stubbornness to a point, but you don't have to do what everybody else is doing for it to succeed. It'll be harder because you have to go through a process of convincing everybody that what your crazy concept is worth it or something. But I don't know. I hardly ever do things by halves, and it's always usually a bit wonky and left of field. But it was something that I thought that Sydney needed.
Yeah.
A different, and again, a different diversity, kind of thing to a landscape of wonderful restaurants, but somewhat similar.
At the top of the show, we talked about how it feels like you're stepping into someone's kitchen as you walk into the restaurant. How does it feel for you cooking in that environment? Guests come in, they're seated around you, you can see them eating what you've just cooked. But how do you feel doing that?
I'm a part of it.
Yeah.
Long, so many years of being shoved in the back, where you're creating delicious things, and you don't see responses, and you don't. Sometimes you hear from the wait staff or the restaurant manager, table 5 loved this or da-da-da-da, but it's now I'm absolutely a part of it. I watch people and their expressions on their face when they eat something, and it's the nod for me. It's a universal thing. You put something in your mouth, if you're enjoying it, it is this unconscious nod of that's really good, and they don't have to say anything, but it's that in itself is the reward. And there was a lot of idea of this kitchen being a stage, and, you know, I'm the performer. But it changed for me, whereas I was the audience.
Yeah.
And the guests are the performance. And, you know, how everyone interacts differently, or, you know, is having, you know, the laughs that people do, and, you know, like it is a performance.
Yeah.
And everybody is an actor, I suppose, in it.
Well,
it's weird.
It's an absolute honour to be here, and I can't wait to see you cooking and dishing up this amazing pork belly dish. Thanks for coming on The Crackling. It's amazing to catch up again.
Thank you for being here.
This is The Crackling, a Deep in the Weeds production in partnership with PorkStar. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we catch up with some of Australia's best chefs and pork producers to discover what makes Australian pork so special.